Good morning, folks, and welcome back to 3 Zen. This morning I want to tell you a little bit about one of my first three students, Lloyd. Now, Lloyd was a good student, and I enjoyed flying with him. He came to the flight room prepared for the day's mission, highly motivated, and he was fun to fly with. And I think we had fun during his training at any rate. This one day we were up flying on an advanced contact ride, just more or less for landing proficiency and currency. Once you got into the formation phases of flying, you didn't get as many landings as you did in the early contact sorties. So we're out flying, come back to the pattern, flew a couple touch and goes, and then I had them set up for a no flap touch and go. Everything was going swell. It was a crisp, clear morning. Sun was shining, calm winds, and he was doing great. The thing was, I was sitting in the back seat, typically with my arms up on the rails, just enjoying my work. Lloyd was doing great until we came across the threshold. At that time, he started pulling the power back to idle as he began his flare, bringing the nose up for landing. Now, they tell you in the schoolhouse that it's not necessarily the bad students that get you in trouble, it's the good ones, because you tend to become complacent. And that day I did. So I'm thinking to myself, he's going to see it and make the appropriate corrections and we'll be fine. The only thing is he didn't see it. And as we crossed the threshold, he continued to bring the power back and the nose up to the point where a wing began to drop off and we began to roll. At that point, I don't remember too much about what happened or what I did, but I know I took the aircraft and went around. As we went around, I talked to him a little bit about the height at which he began his flare and so forth. We came back for another no flap and he did fine and I forgot about it. Until we got to the debrief in the flight room. At that point, I'm sitting there debriefing Lloyd, and out of the corner of my eye, I see this guy walk up, and he just kind of stood there for a moment. And eventually, I look up at him, and I had seen Jim before in a squadron, but I had not met him yet. So I stood up, extended my hand, and said, "Can I help you?" And he says, "No, not really." He said, "I just wanted to take the opportunity to meet a dead man." And I kind of looked at him strange. And he said, "Bob," he says, "I was out in the RSU when you and the young lieutenant came by." And he said, "When you went into that roll on that no flap," he said, "I could look up into the cockpit and see your knees. I could see the knee pads and the checklist strapped on your knees or on your thighs." And he said, you really let the kid go too far." And I knew it. I knew right away he was correct, so I didn't. I just kind of stood there somewhat astounded, but he was right. I let Lloyd go too far. But he didn't say much anything else. What he said was enough. And what he said really struck with me. And you figure the event happened in 1975, and here I am telling you about it now. But he took the time to come in and share his experience with me, and that helped me to narrow what I was going to let a student get away with, or it narrowed my tolerances, if you will. That lesson stayed with me the rest of my career as a T-38 IP, and I will always be grateful to Jim for taking the time to stop in and debrief me, if you will. I am grateful for him. So if you see this, Jimmy, thank you again.